Just a Job is the podcast for the modern woman to redefine what success looks like. We highlight real women and their real stories. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Just a Job with Ellen and Sarah. Dun, 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 dun. We're back
landed. I was just going to say, you're so sing-songy. It's perfect. Like, we need to come up with a tune.
You had a lot of coffees the last weekly stand-up. I had 2 coffees today, and I'm
fully caffeinated.
I already had to change my shirt because I had the caffeine sweats, so I had to find another top for this. So yeah, it's been an electric morning, I'll say.
She's vibing over there in San Diego, everybody.
Vibing. Oh my gosh. We're back for another weekly stand-up. I almost said weekly episode. That too. We are going to go through our weekly stand-up, both of us, before we jump into an interview with Angela Crawford. I'm very excited about it. I'm having a hard time picking like what clips and stuff to do because she's just so well-spoken and there's so many really good nuggets in there. So I'm trying. It's hard picking a good one to.
I know. And it was
hard
to keep to time too.
I know. Yeah.
I just kept wanting to ask questions, but
yeah,
that would have been a 2-hour episode.
Yeah, we can't do that to you guys. 2 hours is too long.
I
don't think anyone wants to listen to our voices for 2 hours. Sorry.
I hope not.
If you do, it's my mom, and that's it.
I don't even know. I don't even know if my parents could deal with that, but
Sarah, talk me through give us your weekly stand-up. What's happening this week? What's going on next week?
Weekly stand-up. Well, on a personal note, I made my first Instagram story on the Just a Job Instagram account.
Everyone,
if you haven't noticed, showing my face on Instagram is just honestly, social media is just in general is not my thing. Basically, from the start of Just a Job, I told Alan, I was like, okay, my one thing is that social media, I'm gonna let you run with it because you enjoy it and you're great at it. But I was like, you know what? Yesterday we had a big impactful day. We hit 1,000 plays and it was just really great. So I was excited to do that. But I think I was so distracted. Celebrating. Yes, very much worth celebrating. But I think I was so distracted that I ended up burning my I didn't tell you that. I was making curry and a little onion like popped out of the pan onto my hand and now I have a boil and it's just so sad. So I'm on the mend over here in Delaware trying to mend this burn. Literally, I was going to bed last night. I was like, Michael, my hand has a heartthrob. Like I just could not sleep. So anyways, there's that.
The dangers of posting to social media. Little did you know your onion would cause such an issue. I'm very proud of you. You did great. You sounded like a natural.
Oh, thanks, Ellen.
Kudos.
Thank you. So that was this week. Heading into next week. I don't know. It's hard to say. We are getting outdoor furniture, so that's exciting. So I am seeing potentially a nice patio work day, even if it gets above like 40 degrees. I will put on nice weather clothes. I'm just excited to get outside. So that's really it. Nothing new in the routine. I haven't really spent much time on my walking pad like I said I was going to. Such is life. But
it's
that's
okay.
me. Ellen,
you're still trying.
Your week?
I want to see your cool patio furniture setup. That's exciting. Oh, that makes me excited for summer, huh?
I know. It can't come any sooner. I'm like, January and February are the hardest months. I'm like, okay, I'm done. I've told you that. But
yeah.
Anyways, enough about me. Ellen, what's your weekly stand-up update?
Let's see. This week has been a lot of talking on the phone, which is good. I've done a lot of recruiter calls, a lot of just, hey, I know someone that would be great for you to go talk to this person. So it's just been nice that, again, like people are just genuinely willing to help, which is in the current job market. It's just so nice. Like I really appreciate everyone's like willingness to refer me to people or even just like connect on LinkedIn. It's been really nice. So I've been doing a lot of that. I had an interview on
Whoop, whoop.
I think it was yesterday. Jesus. I did not sleep the night before. I tossed and turned and like I dreamt about interview questions is like I would roll to one side and think about like how would I answer this question? I would answer it and then I'd roll over again and think of like what questions should I ask the interviewer. So I was a little stressed, but it went well, so that's good. And
Woo.
I've got another round coming up, which is really exciting. So keep your fingers crossed for me, everybody. So that's where, so AKA I won't sleep tonight because the interview is tomorrow. So pray for me and my sleep schedule and my ability to decompress and de-stress. Next week, Tim's family is going to be, I guess my family too, is going to be in town this weekend. So we get to play tourists, which will be really fun. It's supposed to be cooler, which isn't great and rainy, but nonetheless, it will be fun. And then, I'm also speaking at my high school for their career day. There's like 6 different panels. It's this Friday.
Oh,
the Friday before the episode comes out. So it'll already have happened when this airs, but it should be fun. Hopefully I'm going to share mainly the goodness of the podcast. Like that's what I really want to be able to do.
Share on social, because I think that that's always fun to be able to go back to your high school setting or just a high school setting and like be around students, and
it's going to be weird,
share your story.
But I'm excited. Yeah, it'll be fun. And so cleaning the house, hopefully getting a job offer, fingers crossed, more networking, more applying, all that fun stuff. So
got loaded week.
It's going to be busy, but it'll be good. I'm excited. So we got some more furniture too. I'm telling you, the 2 coffees, I can't stop talking. It's insane. I'll have to show you.
Can you tell I had a decaf? I'm just sitting over here like
smiling and nodding.
You know, sometimes at the beginning of a stand-up, people will do like, oh, what's the temp? Red light, green light, yellow light, wherever you're at. We almost need to do that for caffeine levels. Like, what's your caffeine level?
I'm at a 12. Like, I can't. I'm foaming at the mouth. I'm sweating through my shirts. I can't stop. Oh my God.
I'm so happy for you. That's such a wonderful phase to be in during the day, the high of caffeine.
I'm like, I get to go to the grocery store after this. Then I want to go to Home Goods. Then I'm going to go to a spin class. Like, I'm ready for my day.
Day is stacked.
Now that I've overshared about my entire life, I think I'm ready to jump into Angela's interview. Are you ready?
I'm here for it.
Oh, hey, audience, listeners. Can you please go give us a Spotify rating? But we only want 5-star reviews.
If you have less than 5 stars, see your way out. I don't want it. Ellen and I are really not good with constructive criticism.
I was going to say, we cry easily and things hurt our feelings. So if you don't have anything nice to say, please do not share. I don't want to hear it. Except how,
but for real, we're being serious.
So serious. 5 stars and be kind. Thank you so very much. Oh my God. On that note, thank you everybody for listening to another weekly stand-up. We've got Angela's interview coming up here soon. I hope everybody enjoys it. Leave us a review, wink, wink, or tell us on Instagram how you enjoyed Angela's interview. Have a great rest of your week, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Alrighty. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Just a Job with Ellen and Sarah. This time we are joined by a dear friend of mine, Angela Crawford. She is originally from Kansas City, but currently resides in Dallas, Texas with her canine companion, Samson. I love the shout out to Samson. In 2019, she completed her master's degree in nursing, specializing in family nurse practitioner from Maryville University. Angela is dedicated to providing compassionate care and believes in ensuring that every patient feels heard and seen by their healthcare provider. When not working, Angela enjoys spending quality time with Samson, teaching spin classes, and exploring different parts of the world. Welcome, Angela, to the podcast. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So, quick little background of how I know Angela. We met at Mojo Cycling Studio in Kansas City. For the Kansas City girls or guys, whoever's
Hmm.
listening, go check it out. We love Mojo. But
Absolutely.
I remember I kind of slowly made my way to riding in the front row of, I had to build my confidence up. And I remember riding in the front row next to you and just your energy. I could feel it. And it made me like ride so much harder. I was like, okay, I got to keep up with this girl. Like, I so distinctly remember being like, I need whatever energy drink that she had before this class because that is like one of my favorite memories of you. And we did training together. Like I said, we taught together. So I know Angela really well. And when thinking of people we wanted to bring onto the podcast, we'll get into this in a second as well. But you recently started your own business, and
Hmm.
we actually talked about starting our own businesses together at the same time at another friend's wedding.
Hmm.
So, and maybe a little bit of alcohol was flowing. So we were extra excited
Hmm.
and extra emotional and excited talking about it. So I want to hear all about you, Angela, your story and your career path to getting to where you are today as the owner of your company, SelfWell. So let's take it back to the very beginning of young Angela. What
Oh.
is the career path? What is the job? What did you want to do when you were little? When people ask you, what did you want to be when you grew up?
So I always knew that I was going to be either a nurse or a lawyer. And that is because I love to talk a lot. And enjoy helping people. I've
Yeah.
always known that I was going to, whatever I was going to do was going to be helping people. And so nursing or being a lawyer was top two for me. My mom definitely thought I was going to be the lawyer with my talking skills, but yes, it ended up going the nursing route. My mom was also a nurse, and I think that helped lead me that way as well. So
Mhm.
always knew from the beginning of time it was those two for me.
Man, I we talk to so many people we interview, and I love how certain some people are. And
Hmm.
Mhm.
no, little me knew exactly what I was going to do. It was either going to be A or B, but I was
Yep.
not going to stray away from it.
Right.
So you knew at a young age, nurse or lawyer. Was there
Hmm.
any sort of defining moment or at one point that you made the decision to choose the nursing route?
I don't remember exactly how I ended up like knowing that I was just going to be a nurse, but it just
Mm-hmm.
happened. I think my mom just being a nurse and just being a natural caregiver and an empath led me I just fell into nursing. Like there was no question at a certain point. It was what it was for
Mhm.
sure.
Mhm. Talk to us about the experience of applying to college, where you
Mm.
decided to go, and kind of what that journey was like for you.
Yes. So honestly, my career did not define where I was going to college. I had went on a college tour, and so actually started off at Spelman Historically Black College in Atlanta, Georgia, where I've made the most wonderful friends for a lifetime. But also, I found out like who I was as a woman, and
Mhm.
I really think Spelman as a whole shaped me. But I say it didn't. It didn't actually, help me career wise because at that time when I went to Spelman, they did not have a nursing program. I always knew that I was going to have to leave because nursing was what I was going to do. But I just needed that experience. And I truly think the time I had in Atlanta and at Spelman is what helped me to even be here where I am today, like having the drive and the passion that I have. So yes, start at Spelman just for the experience, and then I ended up transferring back to Kansas City, and I went to Rockhurst Research in Kansas City, Missouri, and I got my nursing degree there to start, and then I'm sure I did not plan on being a nurse practitioner. Okay,
I
I was
love this story.
I wanted to be a nurse. I was happy at bedside. I was a pediatric nurse at Children's Mercy. And I remember saying, I'm never going to be a nurse practitioner. I do not want to do that. But somehow I ended up making a bet with a friend, and we decided to apply to our master's program at Maryville University. And I said, if we get in, I'll go. We got in. I had to go because I don't back down from anything. And if I make a bet, I'm going to do it. So that's
Yeah.
then how I ended up at Maryville University for the master's program.
That's
I just
so
have
funny.
I just have to giggle to myself. I'm like, if only I felt like if I followed every bet that I made, who would I be right now? Especially such a defining bet.
Yes,
You
literally.
easily could have been like, no. Like, I'm fine. I'm happy with where I'm at. But you stuck to your guns, and I appreciate that about you.
Yes. I'm
Mhm.
also very impulsive, so that we have that there.
Two
So
great qualities.
it's worked for me. Apparently it's worked. So being
Exactly.
impulsive.
Mhm. It's led to it started you off on your journey, and
It really did.
I'm sure you're grateful for it, and it's probably fun looking back and being able to laugh at it and be like, what was I
Absolutely.
thinking? And here I am. It worked out,
Mhm.
right?
And I still question myself, even where I'm at today, like, how did this happen? But it's working out. There's a plan for me.
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness.
Talk us through your time at Maryville and what that was like, and maybe some successes you had, maybe some failures you had, and your journey there.
Yeah, so Maryville, I did their online program. So basically, how that works for your master's, you have to do like clinicals and things like that. So everything's online when it comes to basic schoolwork, but then when it comes to actual rotations and being hands-on, you have to find preceptors and people in your city. And it was just nursing school was one of the hardest things I've ever done, and then the master's was like literally the hardest thing I've ever done. I was still working full time at Children's Mercy. Was I working? I was working night shift at that time. And I'd also had Samson, who is awake during the day. And so I just honestly, during that period in my life, it's literally a blur. I remember every day having to wake up and look at my phone to see exactly what day it was, so I can know where I was supposed to be, because I literally woke up every day. I didn't know what day it was, where I was supposed to be. And then I would literally look at my calendar. Is this a work day? Is this a clinical day? Where am I supposed to be? Because I mean, I literally would work full time at night and then have class during the day or clinicals. And so Samson got introduced to daycare at that time, honey. Okay. That's how he became a spoiled dog. But I learned a lot about myself during that time, because I wanted to give up. And when you're going through an experience like that, you can have the most supportive friends and family, but it really is a self journey that you are on, trying to continue to push for the things that it is that you want. So I think success wise for me going through that process is just the fact that I kept pushing and knowing that the end was going to come and that it was all going to be worth it. But there were definitely there were plenty of times I felt like a failure because I couldn't love my family or my friends the way I felt like I should and wanted to. And it was just hard. But I think hard things is what makes us great. Going through those difficult times. What do they say? Diamonds are made under pressure. And diamonds were definitely made during that time, for sure.
Lots of diamonds. Angela, I didn't realize that the path that you took was both school and work at the same time. Not to mention night shift.
Yes.
Holy
Oh my God.
crap. To know that you are out of this kind of school setting and mindset. You're working, and then you're like, no, let's go back to school. Let's tack on some more work. Like, kudos to you. Oh my goodness.
Thank you. It was such a struggle, but I'm so happy that I did it. So happy.
Was there I don't know, like a mantra or a person or something that helped you the most during that time?
I hate to say this, guys.
That's so sweet.
Of course, my mom, like, she was so supportive and she was so understanding. All my friends and family they truly were. But I think having Samson and waking up to him and knowing that, like, he was counting on me, and I'm literally the person that he counts on every day to take care of him. I think that really helped me to keep pushing, like, okay, little buddy, I got to figure out how to keep paying for daycare and all these things. So just knowing that he was there to comfort me and to love me, and he needed me, that honestly, that helped me through 100%. Because it was a difficult time. And I honestly think that's why, me and him are so close at this point.
He's your confidant, like he's your buddy.
He really
You're
is.
everything. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, so then the schooling, you're nearing the finish line. What were the emotions coming out of that, last final month or so? And then where did life take you from there?
I mean, when it started nearing the end, I mean, I was definitely a crybaby. Like, like just like just relief, like, oh, the finish
Yeah.
line is
Yeah.
near. But then you start having all those worries about what comes next, like, because you have to pass boards. Like, am I really? I think a lot of times, a lot of us, as we are on our career path or whatever path, experience like some imposter syndrome. Like, am I really this smart? Am I really this talented? Is this really something I can do? And I think I started having those feelings because preparing and thinking about boards, like, yeah, I made it through school. I've always been good at school, but can I really take this test and pass? Is someone really going to want me to be their nurse practitioner and trust me? And so then I started having like self-doubt, I think, closer towards the end, because then I had to prove that the 2.5 years that I was in school, that I really was that good and that smart, right? So those were the feelings that I felt like towards the end. I remember signing up for boards, and I didn't tell a soul when I was taking them at all.
Yeah.
And I literally had a friend coming in town because it was 4th of July weekend. It was the only time that I could get this test scheduled in the time frame that I wanted. And I couldn't tell her not to come because then she would know I was taking the exam. So I was like, oh, are you sure you want to come? I don't think there's much going on. She still came. And she had no idea. I just told her I had a work meeting on the day of my exam. And I went and I took the exam, and they tell you, that you pass or not pretty much right then and there. And so after the exam, I came home and I told her, hey, I passed. Let's go out. Let's have a great
time to celebrate.
Yeah.
So you passed, you went out and celebrated.
I
Good
sure
for
did.
you.
It was great. It was so great.
Talk to us about what that first job was like. You talked a little bit about imposter syndrome. You prove you got the piece of paper, you passed your boards. What is that first job like? And then did you struggle with imposter syndrome at that first job?
Yes. So first job, I really wanted to stay in pediatrics. They do not pay well for practitioners. And now that I've gone back to school, I have lots of bills. So I ended up in Leavenworth, Kansas, at a primary care practice. And I kind of knew going into it that it wasn't going to be like a long-term setting for me, but I needed to get started. And so the first job was actually really hard. It wasn't a very supportive environment, or it just wasn't supportive. Basically, they were like, oh, you're here, you're on your own. And it was, there are certain jobs, they'll promise you all these things in the beginning. And I am just very big on wanting to be the best in anything that I do. And I don't ever want to hurt anyone in my position as a nurse practitioner. And so it was hard for me not to have the support that I wanted. Like, I'm always going to, ask questions. In nursing, this is the biggest thing, or in medical world, you know what you know, and what you have to know what you don't know. And that is how you keep people safe. And so big on asking questions. And in that first setting, they were just not very big on teaching or leading. And so I was only there, I think, 2, maybe 3 months, and I had to go because it just wasn't for me. And I think that's also really important in any time in life, your career. When you know something is not for you, you need to exit left and just go, and it'll be fine, and you'll work it out.
So you knew this was not the place you wanted. You knew you wanted that learning environment, a place where you felt safe to not only ask questions, but have the trust that someone would be willing to spend time and go through questions and more learnings with you. So, you made the exit. Talk to us about those next, because I know you hopped around a couple of places.
I did.
Yeah, you were a job hopper.
Yes, and I'm a firm believer. You all know I'm a firm believer in not staying anywhere where you're not happy, not supported, not valued. And so I am your job hopper. I think the longest job I've had so far is a year. So, and so the next job I went to, still knew it wasn't going to be home for me, but I felt like they were more supportive and I could get more education and just feel better as a provider. So went to another job, and that was going okay. And then I decided I wasn't making the money that I felt I deserved. And so at that point, I actually went into contract work. And this is about the time COVID's coming around now.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was actually working in infectious disease at this job where I didn't feel fully valued and wasn't being paid where I wanted to be paid. And infectious disease was scary during COVID. So I was like, why would I stay here?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, then I started doing contract work. So I started doing some contract COVID work. I also got into psych at that time. So at this point, I'm working 3 jobs and men's health and juggling, which I feel like any nurse practitioner, if any nurse practitioner watches this, we all have multiple jobs. It's just how it goes. And so, yeah, at this time, I felt like I was starting to gain confidence in who I was as a provider and what I had to offer. And yeah, this was a good time for me, saying what it was that I was worth. And if people didn't want to give me what I thought I was worth, I was confident to wait it out or go to the next position. And so, yeah, at this time I was working 3 different jobs, getting a lot of education under my belt, experience. And I feel like that has now even made me a better provider, and people see me as a better provider because I've now done all these little things.
Mm-hmm.
So there are pluses to job hopping. It's all about how you look at it.
Definitely. I think, yeah, we've talked about this a lot. Like job hopping. Thank God for COVID, honestly, for blessing us with so many things. But I feel like just the world of jobs in general, the conversation around jobs. I mean, this podcast, like these types of things didn't exist a few years ago. There was no just open dialogue about it. So I appreciate you being like, absolutely go for it. Like, look at me as a model, because this is like 40 hours of your life, assuming that you just work at home, 40 plus hours if you're commuting. Like, this is such a big part of your life that no amount of money or anything can like make things feel right. And I was actually just talking with a friend about this weekend. Do you remember in college, people would say like, oh, you can get good grades, get good sleep, or go out. Like, you can only pick 2. You cannot have all 3. And I've always said with jobs, you can have really good pay, really enjoy the work that you're doing, or enjoy your coworkers, but you can't have all 3. And that's like, unfortunately, the reality. And if you have all 3, let us know. Drop a link to your companies and we'll share the word. But you know, it's at the end of the day, like, even if you have a really great boss, you're the only person that knows your limits, knows your capacity, and stands up for yourself. So good for you for doing that, finding the right thing. And also too, not being afraid to take on juggling certain things and more areas of work to really find what you like to do. You know, you can't knock it till you try it. So
absolutely,
I love that about your journey.
Absolutely. I would hope that everyone, you know, especially like you said, like, you are never going to get everything that you want in a job, but the least you could find is peace and, you know, something that you can at least, you know, feel okay waking up to every day. You should not have to feel miserable going to your job that takes so much of our life. We give so much to work and have so little left for our friends and family. At least be able to feel good about it.
Oof. Yeah. You saying that, I'm like, I haven't felt that way in a long time, but you know, that sinking gut feeling where you're just like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, and I think everybody's had that at some point in their career. And hopefully that's the floor, that's the threshold that you've created for yourself. But man, that feeling it's brutal. It hurts. Okay. So you're juggling all of this. It's COVID. What's the next move?
Goodness. So we start coming out of COVID, but you know, because of COVID, especially for medical world, there were lots of different things put in place so that we could like work telehealth and do all these things. So as COVID starts to, you know, make its exit, laws start changing or going back into effect, things that they had lifted. So slowly my telehealth jobs are like, yeah, we don't really need this anymore, and things start ending. And so I'm like, well, what's next? And so LinkedIn, love it. I think there are so many great resources on there. People just, I always keep my LinkedIn and Indeed open. And I hope everyone does too, because you just never know when something great might come along. Doesn't matter how happy you think you are until something else pops up. So I had LinkedIn open and, recruiters were coming. And so there was a mobile job that came up. And I was like, ooh, this could be fun. It was wound care. And now I've never really had an interest in wound care. But again, we love to have lots of different experiences under our belt. And I thought that I liked the autonomy of telehealth and being home and not actually being in an office. And so COVID, I felt like I really couldn't go back to an office. So I was like, let me try mobile work. And so that's what I did. And again, I knew my worth and I was able to get what I wanted with this job. And I felt very supported in the beginning and appreciated. And so I did the mobile work and it was going well. It was going well and got the great education. And then I decided that it was time for me to leave Kansas City at some point. And so that's when transition came for me. Mm-hmm. So with that, the job that I was working, doing the mobile care, they did not have any basically offices or locations in Texas. They also said that mobile care wasn't a thing here because of insurance coverage. So I was like, well, again, I guess I'm going to try something new. I'm always going to be flexible and try something new. And so I just went ahead and applied for my Texas medical license, not knowing what I was going to do, where it was going to lead me. And so once I got it, I waited a week because I still kind of had cold feet about moving. Like I didn't really know anybody in Texas. Mm-hmm. And so finally I get on LinkedIn and the very first job that I see, mobile wound care. And I was like, wow, what are the odds? I thought it didn't exist. And so I literally applied for that job on a Wednesday. Thursday, they wanted an interview. And basically, I had a soft offer Friday. And they were like, can you move here in 6 weeks? And I remember just saying yes. And I just said yes. Not really processing like 6 weeks. And I just remember calling my mom and being like, yes, I think I'm moving in 6 weeks. And like, it still just hadn't like hit me yet of what I had accepted and what I had done. And my mom just was like, her response was like, like, I don't even know if she really believed me. But yes, it really did happen. So got that job, got, again, what I thought I was worth. And I picked up and I moved to Texas in 6 weeks. And that was a wild ride. Got here, worked that job. Like I said, it was like the same exact job I was working in Kansas City, different company. Mm-hmm. And then after being here in Texas for 3 months, living downtown, living the life with my dog, I get a call on a Monday and they tell me that they're closing the market here in Texas. And this is a Monday. They told me my last day was going to be Friday. And I just remember being like, okay. Well, so do I get paid after Friday? Like, is that the last day that I get paid? Right. Like, you're only like 4 days I don't get paid anymore. And they were like, yeah, no, you don't get paid anymore. I was like, oh.
But I'm sorry. I just have to complain. But yet it's like standard that you're supposed to give 2 to 4 weeks notice before you quit. But they just dump you with 4 days notice after. I know you were interested, obviously, in moving to Texas, but after like basically pulling you down to Dallas, they give you the boot.
Yes, and I think that's also really important to remember. These companies require so much of us, and they want us to be courteous and to give them so much notice so that they can have time. But at the end of the day, you have to take care of yourself. These jobs, these corporations, at the end of the day, they are focused on them and what they need. And so I think a lot of us, feel bad about quitting or going on vacations. And I'm like, they would literally drop you in 2 seconds. Why are you tiptoeing and giving them so much care and not caring about yourself? And that's why I say, job hop, do what feels good to you, go on the vacation. It is not my responsibility to figure out what they're going to do. That's their job, because they're going to drop me in 2 seconds. They didn't care how I was going to pay my bills in downtown. No one cared. They were like, good luck. So I think that's really important.
Yeah, definitely a good learning experience. Like, it's one thing to say it and talk about that you're a body and a seat and a number to a corporation, but then to go through it and experience it yourself is like, why did I put so much emotional emphasis on certain decisions that I made? Because again, at the end of the day, you're a number and they can replace you
Yep.
and or drop you at the drop of a hat, and they're probably like, okay, whatever, on to the next person. After that call ends, they're on to the next thing that they're doing. So they call you on Monday, you have your last day, and then you got to figure out what you're doing next. What did you do, Angela?
I cried first. I cried.
Thanks for keeping it real.
I cried. I gave myself a week to feel terrible and, to have pity on myself.
Absolutely.
Yeah, which we need that. We deserve to give ourselves grace and time. And so I allowed myself to feel all those emotions. And then I was like, okay, now what? And so during this time of self-pity, I got connected with another nurse practitioner that's here in Dallas. And, she was just telling me about, maybe some other jobs to try, connections that she had. And in this conversation, she was just like, but I also think that maybe you should just bet on yourself. And she has her own practice. And this is something, again, never, ever considered in my life. I never thought I was going to be a nurse practitioner. Now you want me to open my own practice. You're really pushing it here. So, she tells me to bet on myself. And again, I'm like, yeah, no. So I sit and I think on it. And I really am tired of feeling expendable at this point. I feel like a lot of these jobs that I had, again, were numbers and we're just expendable. And I just didn't want to go into another situation where I'm like, so is this going to be for 3 months? You're going to like me for 3 months. Maybe you're not going to like me and keep me around. I just don't want to do it anymore. And so I said, yeah, I'll open my own practice. That's fine. Because that's just a casual thing to do.
Right. Another bet. You just said you're betting on yourself.
Impulsive. And so I literally just kind of like hunkered down here at the house and like came up with a plan. But while I'm coming up with plans, I really believe, and whatever it is that you believe, the universe, God, whoever you believe in, I really think that there's a true plan for us. And sometimes we need to just take time to listen and be led. And so I started running into people randomly. I ran into this wonderful occupational therapist, and she had a team with a PT, a physical therapist, and a speech therapist. And they were talking about how they also needed a nurse practitioner work with them to like help, create this system of care. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And so all these little pieces just started coming together. And I realized, you know what, this is for me. And so let's see, it took me 4 months. And in November, SelfWell just came to life and we were ready to rock and roll. And so here we are. SelfWell is here now.
Oh my God.
Oh, that's so crazy. I love that. And honestly, it's like a little bit of a chill factor of like you started running into all of these people and maybe had this experience not happened. You kind of wouldn't have really trusted that it was meant to be. It's like, oh, that's coincidence or whatever. And how perfectly it all came together. So when you decided to move forward with the business, who was like the first person you told, and what was the experience of telling somebody? Because you ask any entrepreneur and it's not real until you share it with the world, is what it feels like. Yes. So what was that experience of owning up to owning a business?
Yes. So pretty sure my mom was the first person. And
naturally. Yeah.
I mean, at this point, bless my mom. Like, she just really has been rolling with me, and nothing I tell her surprises her. And she just goes with it. She's like, okay. Now I'm sure
our built-in therapists.
Yeah.
Totally.
I'm sure she was frightened for me, like, wow, what is she getting herself into this time? But I always pull through. So I told her, yeah, I think I'm just going to open my own practice. And she was like, okay. And at this point, when I said I was going to open, I didn't even really know, like, what I was going to do with the practice. Like, what kind of practice is it going to be? Like, how does it work? And so, I told her about it. And then I started I didn't really tell that many people. I told like maybe, I told maybe one friend that has her own business to start. But the majority of people I did not tell until I was very close to launching or after launch. Of course, when I was back in Kansas City, I just couldn't help myself. And I had to like tell the girls when I was at the wedding. But other than that, yeah, I kept it pretty much low key because again, there's always that factor of not wanting to tell people and fail, or it might not come to, to life. And so I just had to like really act like it was my baby and protect it to begin with.
Totally.
Hmm.
Totally. I think back to the conversation that we had at the wedding too, and we were both kind of going through the same thing at the same time of like, okay, we're starting to get the ball rolling. Now that I'm saying it out loud to you, like it's actually happening. And we talked about how when you do say it out loud finally to someone, that you are also putting the trust in that person to hold you accountable at the same time.
Hmm.
And I really loved that we kind of were able to lean on each other in that way. I think having that support around you, again,
Hmm.
being purposeful in whom you speak to and who you share with is important too. But that the advocacy that your friends and family will do for you, but also the accountability that they provide at the same time is kind of a double-edged sword, but also good,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
I 100% agree. And I think it is really nice when you have people that either done it or that are going through it with you, because a lot of people in the world do not understand entrepreneurship. I did not understand it before. And it is just, there are a lot of hard days. There
Yeah.
just are. You have a victory, and right after your victory, you still have like 10 more things that need to be done or failures. And so it's nice to be able to relate to someone and for them to understand, like, also maybe you don't have that much to give, because I feel like recently I haven't felt like the greatest friend, the greatest daughter, all of those things. And so there's a lot of emotions that go into being an entrepreneur, and there's only so much of you to give. And most of the time you have to give it to your business because again, that's what's feeding you.
Totally.
Hmm.
And I
Before,
imagine too.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Will we fight over this?
Take it, Ellen. Take it.
We always talk about how we interrupt each other, and we try to be very mindful of like when we ask questions. So that's why we're laughing. No, I forgot my question. Sarah, you're gonna have to go. I forgot.
It wasn't a question. It was just gonna be a statement too. I'm also like in my head thinking, starting a business on top of the red tape that is the health system. And I'm like, it's already difficult enough to start a business, let alone navigating where everything fits in with the health world, insurance, all the things. I'm like, I don't even know where to start. There's probably not even enough YouTube videos out there to be resources to try to figure this out.
Yeah, that part is definitely like just connecting. There's some great, like, I just found support in like Facebook groups, honestly. That was a great resource for me. I have chats. There's like MPs going into business, and those were very good for me, helping me navigate my way. And then of course talking to friends about, okay, did you do an LLC? What type? How did you do it? Who'd you do it through? So yeah, you really just like have to like tap in and search for like all your resources. And I mean, I still don't have even half of it figured out. It's still a work in progress, but definitely come a long way.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Well, and if you look back during, planning and then launch, and now you're a couple of months in and you're feeling like you've got your feet underneath you, what has been the best part of it all?
Oh, I mean, getting my first patient. I mean, that was literally such a victory. Like, it made SelfWell real. Like, and then like the fact someone found me. You found me. Like, whenever someone calls me, I'm like, well, how did you find out about SelfWell? Because it's so real. So like my first patient was like my first victory, and you couldn't tell me anything with just having one patient. I mean, SelfWell was real, and that's all that mattered.
So what does a typical day look like for you? I know it's probably not typical, but like
Yeah.
what are the couple of things that you do on a daily or a weekly basis, owning your own business, but also being a healthcare provider at the same time?
Yeah. And I still work another job, okay? Because business is not cute in the beginning. You got to work other jobs too.
Of course you do. It's on
Yes.
brand. Of course you do.
So yeah, no, I literally have like 4 jobs. So I mean, a typical week for me, like Monday is like my one day where I'm home most of the time, and it's like my admin day, trying to get set up, trying to just get organized for the week. So whether that's contacting like billers or making sure patients like have all their appointments set up, Monday is my set admin day to like knock out all the paperwork, and then I usually SelfWell is contracted out. So I see patients for another provider on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And it's also contracted out to see patients through another company. So that's another way, creating business, right? And then I specifically work for myself on Wednesdays and Fridays for another company. And then usually at the end of the day, so if anyone calls me during the day wanting an appointment, depending on how full my day is, I usually come home in the afternoons or evenings to then do telehealth appointments, or I set them up if it's like a weight loss client for the weekend. It's literally, there's no rhyme or reason, and I also have no boundaries right now. So basically, the people that I'm committed to, the companies that I'm committed to, I knock their stuff out. And then when people call SelfWell, I figure out where I can fit in SelfWell. That I usually try to see patients the same day. So it might be in the evening, 7 p.m. It's just kind of all over in the beginning.
Oh, so Angela, final question for you before we head into rapid fire. How do you define success?
Oh, success for me when it comes to me, SelfWell patients, is patients feeling seen, heard, validated. And if a patient comes to me and they feel like they were able to get their questions answered, that I heard them clearly, and that they feel comfortable with the information I then gave back to them, that is success for me. That is success for me. You feel seen. I think that's all in all life with like all my relationships, people. If the people in my life, patients, friends, family, you feel seen, you feel heard, that is success for me.
Amazing. Ooh, that kind of gave me a little bit of chills. Some goosebumps. Let's get into some rapid fire questions.
Okay.
Let's do it. One thing you cannot live without during the workday is
coffee.
Love it. Are you a hot or an iced coffee girl?
I'm always hot.
Oh,
I'm always hot.
I feel like most are always cold. So that's so funny too, living in Dallas.
Oh, it can be 100 degrees. I'm having hot coffee.
It's the ritual of it. I understand. Okay, other rapid fire. At the end of the day, when you're done with all the emails and work and everything, how do you like to unwind?
I like to fake watch TV. So I'm not really watching TV, but I turn on something that I'm not interested in so I can feel like I'm getting leisure time, and then I fall asleep.
Okay.
Simple routine. It's important. Yeah. Oh my God, that's so funny. Okay, Angela, one last question for you. Do you prefer in-person or remote work?
Oh, that's hard. Can I be 50-50?
That's allowed.
I think it depends on the patient. It's really what the patient needs. If they need me there, I'm happy to be there so that they feel, again, supported the way that they need, heard the way that they need. But, if they also are comfortable, telehealth, that's fine. But I do think being in someone's home adds there's something special about someone allowing you in their home. And I think it gives them an extra sense of comfort. So I think in-home is very special, but I'm 50-50 either way.
All right. I'll allow that just this one time, just for you.
Thank you.
Angela, thank you so much for spending your time with us. We got to get you connected to Amelia, by the way. She's a PT in the Dallas area as well. So we got to continue get the networking piece going here. Again, thank you so much for spending time with us. We will make sure to include all the places that you can find Angela and her business SelfWell in the show notes. Thanks everybody for listening. Have a great rest of your week. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.